For those of you who have been playing around a little bit more in Notion beyond the session, how's it going so far? What have you been doing? What do you find really cool and exciting or overwhelming?
I haven't gotten a chance to play in it, David, to be honest with you. I've just been.
All right. Totally cool.
I as well haven't, but I want to do what we started doing last week with the diagramming. It can be on a computer or just like physically drawing on a whiteboard what I want to get out of it. And then I think it's going to be easier to come back and say, all right, can I do this in Notion versus just like poking around little piece by piece, draw out what I would explicitly want. And I think that'll be easier to come back.
For sure. And in Salesforce Admins, it's like the same kind of thing that we often find ourselves dealing with when interacting with business folks who will ask a question from the technology perspective without being able to speak to the process or what they truly need. But is it possible to create this button? But is it possible to automate the blah, blah, blah? And like, okay, it's possible, but what the heck does that matter? What are you trying to do? Because maybe you don't really need that button. Doing that all the time with any new technology, bringing myself back. Do I even need that? Yeah. All right, let's jump in real quick. So all of you should be able to see my screen, right? Where I'm showing the lucid chart where I jotted. Okay, good.
Yeah.
So what I have over here is two windows, and I'm encouraging all of you to basically do the same thing, to be building it out as I am building it out, so that this way, because to me, the end goal for all of this is for all of us to have our own selfish, personal database that we can later customize and link up with other databases as each of us individually see fit. If the end goal is really for each of us to have our own database, yeah, you should be building it. And why not build it as I'm building it? Because, hey, if you're trying to do something that like we're not even talking about and you're stuck with it, like you might have a really good idea that none of us have thought of. So we could all benefit from that. Anyway, so here we have the notes from our previous session. And I have over here in my second tab in the browser, I'm just in Notion, and it landed on whatever page it landed on. That's completely irrelevant because we're going to be creating something that's brand new anyway. So I encourage all of you to basically have the same kind of setup for now so that we can all jump in and do this together. So as it relates to the data points that we've identified that we would like to be able to capture regarding a knowledge base, honestly, I think this is a fantastic starting point. I think it's going to evolve over time. I think for each of us, there are going to be some other data points that we might want to capture. And I'll give you some examples. In the knowledge base over here, we have, whether it's an article, a book, a podcast, we might find out about the existence of a particular podcast, or we stumble on a particular YouTube video or particular release notes, but we have not yet read it, listened to it, consumed that content, but we brought it in because we hope that our future selves will benefit from having quick and easy access to it. Some things that we do not necessarily, we do have over here, like within what context it would be helpful, but we did not verbally articulate, like maybe having a status would be helpful, like to be read a thing. And keep in mind, if it's a video or if it's a podcast, the concept of read doesn't really apply, but something that represents to be consumed, like we haven't really processed it yet. Something else that we might want to think of is beyond just category, just other notes, thoughts that we might have about it might be relevant. I'm not going to even bother capturing it here because to me, I'm bringing it up because I think that's part of the point for, okay, here's what we think. It does not have to be perfect. Again, because if we are the only user, unlike in our real jobs where we are setting up Salesforce for an organization and impacts other users who are actively working on qualifying prospects and working with customers and working on deals and working on customer support tickets. This is just for, we are the only user. The impact, the risk is far more minimal than when we're setting up a system for multiple users for an organization. It's okay if we wing it as we go along. And some of you might even disagree on some of the data points that I just mentioned. That I hear you, but I don't really care to capture those things. And either way, it's totally fine. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to adjust my screen to make it side by side so that we have the list readily available. And I always forget like how in Lucidchart to hide that. So let me go ahead and move this over here and adjust that like this and move this over here. Whoops, I did not mean to click there. And in Notion, what I'm going to do is click right here where it says add a page. So I'm starting with a blank canvas. So I click add a page and it brings me to this screen. The side panel I don't need. So for those of you who are not familiar with navigating around the Notion, you could just click on, if you hover on the upper right hand portion of the side panel, which is on the left hand side, you could just click on the arrows. Yeah, and it goes away. And you can access it back by doing this, by clicking on the little arrows on the upper left hand side. So I'm on the screen. And for those of you who are following along, you should be on the same screen. So over here where it says Untitled, let's go ahead and call it Knowledge Base or Knowledge Bank or whatever it is that you want to call this thing. Knowledge Vault, whatever terminology. And now we can go ahead and dress it up a little bit. So where it says add icon, when you click on it, it's going to insert any random emoji. Click on it one more time. And now you can choose whatever emoji you want, or you can upload an image. I'm going to just look for, let's say, books. Not feeling all that creative right now. And then when I hover under that emoji for the books, I'm going to click where it says add cover, and it picks any random image, I think automatically from Unsplash, but I don't really know. Then I'm going to click again where it says change cover, and let's just find something that represents, again, like, I guess books or file cabinet comes to mind for me. So I'm going to click into Unsplash. Let's look for file cabinet, see what comes up. Yeah, why not? I'm feeling my age. This looks good. Some of you might not even know what the hell is that. This is how they used to track where books can be found in the library. Everyone good so far? All right. Now, what we're going to do over here is down beneath, you see where it's all, the font is a little bit gray. It's a little bit hard to see. We're going to choose the option for table. The truth is we don't even have to be that specific. We could really just click anywhere and use that backslash and then type table also. But since it's right here, we can go here and we can choose table, and boom, it shows, it looks like this now. So where it's like a spreadsheet format. And what I'm going to do is over here where it says name, I was just looking over on the left-hand side over here to be like, should I leave it as name? You know what? We did not identify name, like the title, I guess, of the thing. So I think we should actually just leave name as a default. For tags, we can use that for category. Let's go here on the right-hand side and click on the plus, and let's include source. Now, we have a bunch of options, just like in Salesforce. When you're creating a brand new field, you could choose what kind of field is it going to be. So over here where it says property type, by simply hovering it, we can see the different kinds of, for lack of a better word, fields, what type of fields we want this to be. And if right now we don't really have any idea what kind of source it might be, because it could be a user group, it could be a website, maybe from Salesforce Ben, maybe from the Salesforce release notes. So it could be anything. We can always adjust it later, so we don't have to make ourselves crazy about this. We could just leave it as the default of text. But if we wanted to make it something else, we absolutely can. For now, I'm just going to leave it alone as text. So it just says source, looks like this. And let's go back over here into category. Actually, I think this probably be broken out. I'm actually thinking of this a little bit more category. What do we want to have here? So I think within what context would this be helpful? I think that should probably be its own separate field versus, let's say, verticals. And I think use cases and within what context would it be helpful are probably the same. And if that's the case, does the word category even really apply? And to take it one step further, the concept of tracking the vertical, would that be just like a subcategory within tags? I'm leaning towards yes, that the categories, any categories, so category could also be based on like Salesforce product or vertical or type of problem, meaning like adoption, data quality, duplicates, automation, flow. I think all of those can really be lumped in as tags. So let's go here into tags and let's build this out a little bit. And so I clicked on tags and you can see here it says multi-select. and which is fine. That's what we want, where you could choose more than one. And let's go here where it says configure options, click into that. And this is where we can start building out different options. Let's do this. Validation rules, whether or not I should have initial caps. I don't even know if that really matters. I'll do lowercase validation rules, and I'll just hit that create option on the bottom, formula fields, or maybe formulas, and I'll just hit create. I'll just do PB for process build.
Does comma work as opposed
Flow.
to
I don't even know. Let's do this. Flow, workflow rules.
or tab maybe? I don't know.
I have not tried. No, it doesn't look like it. It's going to create it as one. Let's try tab. Nope, tab brings me over.
That's just silly. It should be one of those two.
Yeah. Enter just does it. Didn't even have to click that much. Flow, let's do workflow rules. So let's do assignment rules. Let's do lead conversion. Let's think about products. So we might have Sales Cloud. Let's do professional edition. Sometimes that comes up. NPSP. Let's do nonprofit, because there might be some things that are not specifically NPSP, but are nonprofit specific. Service Cloud, Experience Cloud. What else? What do you guys think?
CPQ.
CPQ. Yeah, there we can go down the road of like Health Cloud, etc. Where am I here? Okay, CPQ. Oh, I was going to do comma. Pardot. Marketing Cloud. I'm going to pivot and let's start. I'm going to start thinking, at least for myself, from the perspective of a consultant working with many different companies of many different industries. First, let's do startups. Let's do that. Startups. Okay. Healthcare, manufacturing, schools. Trying to think what other verticals actually matter. There's no need to just have it just because work in that kind of vertical. Oh, financial services, financial services. B2C, that's a good one. Whoops, B2C. Let me insert over here release notes. You know what? I'm going to throw in here. I'm not even sure within what context it would be used. Trailblazer community. All right, what else do you guys think? Oh, yes, App Exchange, third-party apps. Yes, absolutely. Third-party apps, App Exchange. You know what? Let's go down that road. Document generation, forms, marketing, data cleansing, duplicate management, event coordination. What else?
We could do by like roles. So like BA, agile, or like admin, developer stuff.
Yep. Admin, developer, BA. You know what? Business requirements gathering. I'm going to make it even a little bit broader than that. Business requirements gathering, project management, change management. Because I don't know about you, but I am constantly looking for best practices as it relates to all of those things. QA testing, change sets, DevOps. Anything else? Like, I'm not looking to overbake it or anything. I just want to.
Would this also be a good area if it's a book or a website?
I was thinking the same thing, because in a way, like, why not?
Yeah, it's multi-select, so you can just throw it all in there.
Book, podcast, web article, PDF, video. I don't want to specify YouTube because in theory it could be hosted anywhere. I'll do Salesforce events, things like Trailhead DX or World Tours, Dreamforce content. That actually includes a whole lot beyond what we've even identified previously. Actually, no. What we've done is we've actually consolidated, like cross-referencing where this can be used. As far as like where it has been used, we could get way more specific in terms of a particular project or a particular request or problem that came in. We'll get to some dates soon. But I think we've already captured verticals, use cases. I don't think I put in here adoption, did I? Nope. Let's do that. You know what? User adoption. I'm also going to put in like reporting, or I'll call it reports and dashboards. Email templates. By the way, the beautiful thing is once you're actually using Notion, you can add more on the fly. So watch this. Let me delete this row. So let's make believe I'm going to put in a brand new entry right now. Oh, I know something I forgot. Awesome. Article on career options for Salesforce admins. And when I go right here, let's say, oh, I don't have an option for career. So as I start typing, I can create it on the fly if it's not already there. So career, I'll call it career advice. And I can now go and add any others as needed, other options that already exist.
Is there a way to have it automatically go in alphabetical order?
That's a great question. I have no idea.
All right, let me just Google it.
Yeah, thank you. I was thinking the same thing. But... All right. Anyone have any other thoughts on tags before I move off of that onto some of the next stuff? All right. Source. So over here we have source as open text. But if there's a corresponding URL, I think that's desperately needed. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to add another column. And over here, instead of text, I'm going to choose the format is URL. And I should have actually given it a name instead of having it called column. And let's call this, I'll just say link, or you know what, URL. Okay. Let's look over here and see what else we've got.
Quick question. What's the point of having a separate URL and source? Would source not pick up that it's HTTP, blah, 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 and make it clickable?
To me, in my mind, source would be where I would want to see, let's say, all of the articles that I got from Salesforce Ben versus that's the actual URL. Or I might put the source where I got it from that employee at DocuSign who sent me this really good article. So it could be something way more subjective where the URL is way more specific. That's how I see it in my head. And to that point, you might feel like, yeah, I would never use source in that way. So let's get rid of it because it's duplicative.
Well, then I'm wondering if you are going to want to filter by on source, would source also not be a multi-pick list? I guess it could be a single pick list, but you have then a value of Salesforce Ben just so it's always indicated in the exact same characters.
Format, right. Yeah, so that's where you could totally format it as a select, but then we would have to feel comfortable. This is going to grow over time to be insane. It's going to be an insane list. That's the challenge, which is not unique to Notion. It's just database architecture. Yes, if that's the case, again, I would recommend if this gives you more stress than anything else, just get rid of it. You can always reintroduce it later, and that's not a big deal because you could always filter. Salesforce Ben is a good example. You can always simply put a filter over here and say URL contains Salesforce Ben. But if everything is a YouTube video and you want to see, no, I only want to filter for the YouTube videos that were posted by, let's say, DocuSign or Conga, the URL is not going to indicate any of that. All right, let's go over here. So data was found. It's already going, it's by default, I believe. Actually, I don't know. Would it automatically have? Because I'm not seeing over here a field that says date created. Interesting. I totally never realized that. So to add another field, I could go back to the screen I was on before, or I could go right over here. And let's go ahead and do that. Let's do date created. And I guess I want it to be a formula field. And honestly, I've never created a formula field before. I don't even know if Notion formula date created. And I think the second article actually was even more specific. All right. Oh, Reddit. God only knows where it's going to take me now.
David, it looks like you can create that and then just make it a formula field and scroll down in that formula and type in just now parentheses and it'll put today's date.
Nice. Okay. So if I just choose formula.
Yeah, and then the empty spot to the right, the actual field, click in it and you can type in now and close parentheses and it'll put in today's date.
Hang on, I'm wrapping my head around what options we have here. Here it is. This is cool. Wait, so if I type in now, it looks like done it's grayed out.
You need to
the parentheses.
Yeah.
It's right there. And just like Salesforce. That's neat. Okay, learned something new today, which is the goal. That is the goal. So by the way, so even though I created it here directly in this record, if I go back over here to the knowledge base, we're going to see that date created is an actual field as if I created it at the column level. So I guess this is just by me being a little bit trigger happy, but I accidentally created extra records. All right, so data was found updated. I guess this is a manually updated field. So let's go here and date content was updated. And I'm cringing at the initial caps I have over here, but like whatever, it's fine. It's a lot of words. Expiration date if applies, date to revisit. I don't know if I would personally, I think this was a good suggestion, but I don't know if I would personally use this. So I'm not going to create the date to revisit it. Expiration date, I don't know if I personally would use that either. I'm going to hold off on this one. I think this is actually really important, but if we have time today, I can show you how this would be used of cross-referencing to another table that we have not yet, another database that we have not yet created. And I think this could be very cool, going beyond what I even thought we would be covering today. But I'm going to pause here and ask anyone if they have any questions on anything I did so far or any, yeah, go ahead.
All right, I don't have a question, but what I found is under advanced formulas, there's an actual created time and last edited time formula that's already there.
Nice. So wait, where do we?
You were just on it.
Oh, formula. I see. So it's already.
So hover over formula again. That
last updated. Edit formula. And
I think he was saying it was in the menu option. You don't even need to go in and edit the formula itself. It was just right there in the menu.
Okay, I'm oblivious. Hang on.
All right. So formula, and then we're underneath advanced formula in that option. There's a created time.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yep. Hey, we're all learning together. I love it.
Yeah. And I gave it the right name. So if I go here and didn't change the label, I'm just going to rename it created. What? Just the word created. And then I'm going to abbreviate this to updated. Oh, but then it makes this a little bit confusing. Date the content was last updated. Not necessarily. Get used to it. Fine. All right. Anyone else? Anything that you think that I'm missing that we haven't really thought through that should also be added? We're good so far? All right. So now let's walk through some examples of using this. So let's make believe that this particular, I'm going to click open for this first line item that I started typing. And I'm going to simulate with all of you. Let's make believe it's not an article. We're going to do an article in a moment. Awesome advice. I'll do this. Awesome advice on career options from, and I'll make up a person, from Bruce Wayne. And so this is where I would type in Bruce Wayne. There's no URL on purpose. I'm going to do that later. So this is where down beneath, this is where we can just start typing, where we put our notes. Bruce suggests that after working for 2 to 3 years, I should really focus on the following. And I'm just going to, so without even doing that /, I'm just going to click on the dash key on my keyboard and hit space, and it automatically recognizes that I'm creating a bulleted list. So I'm going to start typing. I should do this thing, and then this other thing, and then I should talk to blah, 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 and I should explore whatever. And let's make believe there are some images associated with this. Let's simulate there's a PDF. I'm gonna just look on my computer for a non-confidential PDF that I can simulate with. Here we go. So I'm just gonna take some random PDF and I'm just gonna throw it in over here. And you can see that it puts the name of the PDF. So if I go ahead and I then click on it, it opens that PDF in another browser window. Why the heck is it taking so long? I have no idea. Like, it should not take. Here we go. So just some random PDF that I threw in over there. And now let's make believe that there's an image associated with it. So I'm looking on my other monitor for some non-confidential. Here we go. I have one of my logos. So let's throw an image on here. And because it's transparent, it looks, oh, okay, fine. It looks a whole lot better then. So I can go here and I don't want it taking up that much space. So I could do, whoops. Whoa, there's a real delay over there. So I could do something like this. And I could see over here that it's giving me some options over here. What else? Let's say there's a URL associated with it. Let's go here. And he also recommends looking at these books. I'm just going to put a bunch of hard line returns over here. Let's indent this, and Amazon career advice books. Let's pick some random URLs. And then I want to show you how URLs are handled. I started showing you this a little bit last time. I'm just picking any random books over here. So I'm just going to grab this URL, copy, and paste it in here. And you can see I have these options. So it's showing me dismiss, where it'll only display it as a URL. Over here where it says create bookmark, it will look like this. It's pulling a preview. So it's going to look like that, which is pretty neat. And let's go here and grab another one, and I'll choose that third option. So I'll go here and put another one in and create embed. And honestly, I don't think I've tried this one before. And that really didn't do a whole lot, because it looks like I was just going to do it like that. Okay. Actually, it looks exactly the same as the prior one. By the way, in case you're wondering, the reason why this one is indented and this one is not is because this one came under that bulleted item. So if I remove this, we could see it's just indented over here. Anyone have any questions on any of this? Good so far? All right. And by the way, just like we saw earlier when we were creating the page that's beneath this one for the table itself, for the knowledge vault or knowledge bank. Similarly, I can go right here where it says add icon, and I can also click here where it says add cover if I wanted to dress this up a little bit, like if I'm going to be referencing this on a regular basis. So let's make believe that I'm super excited of the advice that I got from Bruce Wayne, and it completely changed my life. So I prefer to, give him some, get excited every time I look at the screen. So what I'm going to do now is, in anticipation, see here when I click add icon and I put some random emoji, what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to go look for a Batman icon on the web, and let's go ahead and grab this one. And over here, all I need to do is right click and choose copy image address. I don't even need to download it. Copy image address. And then I can go back in here and click into the emoji and link, paste image link. I'm just going to paste it, hit submit, and boom, it puts that image right there. And then add cover. And let's go here. Let's see what they've got on Unsplash to be. Let's see if I do Batman, if anything comes up. Oh, look at that. There we go. So now within 2 seconds, I've dressed it up a little bit to give it its own look and feel. Any questions on any of that? So all this really is a record in the database. So we created a brand new database, and we created a record and dressed it up. Now, by the way, one of the things that I completely love about Notion, and this is why I was super excited to go off of Jira and into Notion, because this bothered me tremendously about both Jira and Trello. Maybe it's my old age. I need to have a little bit more real estate on the screen. I want to be able to just focus on that one thing that I opened up. And Trello, I don't think you can make a full screen of one Trello card. That should be the only thing on the screen. And with a Jira card tile on Jira, you also can't do that. This is a very big deal where you can click open as page, and that's all you're focusing on, eliminating all of the distractions. Now, something else that you could do over here, you can see by default, there's a lot of white space on the left side and the right side, and that's completely cool. But if for whatever reason you prefer, because you have a lot of content and you prefer to see it to not have as much white space on the sides, you could just go right here on the upper right-hand side. And aside from all of these other options that you have over here, you can choose full width, and it does this. And if for whatever reason you want to switch it back, you could do that. Any questions? All right. So what I'm going to do now is, you can see over here on the upper left-hand side, and we've got these two, it's showing me like the breadcrumbs of where I am. I'm within this database and this record. So if I want to go back to the database, I can click on this where it says knowledge base. If I wanted to go to something completely different, I want to jump to a totally different unrelated database, I could just go over here and I could see all of my other things. And this is just all kinds of nonsense that I just threw in over here. So there's nothing meaningful whatsoever on the menu on the left-hand side. Everything that I did that's of substance is in my other Notion account, this one. So this is just pure This is like my sandbox. Anyway, so what I want to show you now, by the way, there's something else that you could do over here. You see where it says add description? So I can go here and I can add a description. Like this is where all the awesome goodness of fantastic resources that I come across in my life. All right. Next thing that I want to show you, I'm just checking the time. What I want to show you next is how to, when you're on a website, how to grab what's on that website and put it into a particular note. So then if there's time, I'll show you how to create, I'll just create a very simplistic like project database and then go back to link that database to the knowledge base. So if there's anything that I'm working on my project where there are some resources that I have in my knowledge base that I want to associate to that project or that request, that we can do that and we can see the full 360 relationship. Okay, so what I want to do now is let's go here, grab this tab, and let's go into Salesforce release notes, and I'll just click on any random article. It doesn't even matter what. I just want to simulate being on the web. So Notion has their own, their official plugin for Chrome. And what I found is that it is so rudimentary that it works, but it is really rudimentary. There happens to be another one called Notion Saver that is more powerful. It's not perfect, but it's definitely more powerful than the official one. So let's click on anything specific over here. Let me go into anything here. I did not mean to pick on something that's like only one sentence long. All right. So let's say I've got this, that for whatever reason, I really want to save this in Notion. I go over here on the upper right-hand side, I click on it, and I can see that it's basically showing me, it's giving me options of where I want to save things. So I can choose, first of all, which workspace and then which database. So I am accessing my entire, everything that I have access to in Notion. So let's look for my knowledge base database that we just created. And if I have a template, I didn't even show you guys anything about templates, but if I have a template in Notion, I can select which template. I did not create any for that database. I actually created many templates for my real utilization of Notion, which is amazing. Check this field if you want to save web page content into your Notion page. Hell yes, absolutely. And so the first time that I'm going into this plugin for the browser and I'm choosing like which database I want to send it to, what I'm doing right now is I'm building out which attributes should be accessible to me from within the Chrome extension to be able to populate. So over here, you can see it has by default, it pulled in name and page title. Is this a separate field? Let's see over here. Yeah, so the name is automatically going to be populated with the page title of the page that I was on when I accessed it. Over here, I want to include tags because directly from the browser, I want to be able to select whatever tags I have. And if I want to choose a default one, I can choose it. I'm not going to choose any default. I can go over here and I can choose anything else. So if I want to choose maybe the source, I can go ahead and start typing that. Again, this gets a little bit questionable if I really want to do that. So now I'm just going to hit save. So all I did was I saved the form to be used within the Chrome extension, which means next time I find anything on the web that I want to save, all I have to do is I'll be presented with this screen where I can choose, yeah, it's of the multiple places that I've saved in my Chrome extension, I'm going to choose knowledge base. It's automatically populating the name field with the title that I grabbed from here from the metadata of the web page. And for the tags, I can now go ahead and choose whatever I want. Yeah, I can either select release notes, or if I needed to create a new tag, I could do it from right here. This is really powerful. And let's say over here, learning tests. I'm going to also, you know what? I don't think I put in something about adoption. Oh, I did. User adoption. I'll throw in another one. I'll create one for training and users versus like admin training and users. And a source, since I already have release notes, I really don't need to put anything for source. So I'm gonna leave that blank and add new page. And now I can go here and say, you know what? I want to open it in Notion. So I want to check to confirm. Maybe now I'm going to add in my own notes. That's interesting that it brought in the icon, the Salesforce icon in here. And now I have that content right here. So if then I want to highlight this kind of stuff, because I think this text is most important, I could do all sorts of things. Like I can turn it into a quote, or I can alternatively, like over here, I want to give it a unique background color. So I'm going to go here and give it a yellow background. Oh, thank you, Anita, for putting the URL.
Pretty incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess save to Notion, and here it's called Notion Saver. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Look at the page, the screenshots. Yeah. So then if I want to add like my own thoughts on it, I would go over here and I would start typing, let's put a divider of a line. So I'm going to do /div. It's going to give me the divider and things I might want to use this for. And for now, I'm just going to create like a to-do list for project A, for any situation where the client wants blah, blah, blah. So I could put whatever other thoughts I have about this particular article, I could put it right here. By the way, if I had other users where I'm sharing my workspace with other people, I can go ahead and I can start tagging them. So I can go here, do the @ command, and you can see here where it says people. Right now it doesn't show anyone else, but using the @ command, I can also set up a reminder for myself on this particular item. So maybe I don't have time to deal with it today. Remind me, and by the way, I've never used this feature. If I want to remind myself tomorrow at 9 a.m., I can go ahead and do that. Or I'm wondering whether or not I could just do something like remind me on Monday at 10 a.m. And okay, I don't know what I just did. I have no clue. It's actually going to do it.
Create a whole new page.
It looks like I made a brand new page. Yeah. Let me delete this. I feel like a typical end user that throws a notation in a description field and call them tomorrow. How come I didn't get a reminder on that? I don't understand. What goes around comes around. All right, let me go ahead and delete this. Anyone have any questions on any of this kind of stuff? This is neat, right? Oh, actually, before I go, yeah, I'm not going to have time to, there's more stuff that I need to unpack over here. So as we start building things out, first of all, let's talk about search. Let's make believe it's tomorrow morning and I am logged in. I'm going to pick any random page. I log into Notion and I get to whatever page and I'm like, there's that thing that from Bruce Wayne. I don't even remember what I wrote. I need to find that. So I go in here where it says quick find and I could just start typing Bruce Wayne and you could see immediately it's going to come up. I also have the option over here to add filters. Now this is cool, but it's not that sophisticated. So either way, I'm one click away from going back to that particular item, that piece of content that I put in here. So you don't have to like remember exactly within which database was it that I can access it. You can just use search and boom, you're there. So the next thing that I think is really important to show you is right over here. Let me make this. Okay, why do I not have the option to not make it full screen? I wanted to minimize this scrolling that's going on over here. Maybe it's over here.
Is it not already in full screen?
I wanted to undo full screen. That's what I was looking for. And I'm like, okay, I'm learning. I have no idea. Wait, properties? Nope. I don't know. Whatever. Okay, so what I want to show you over here is this, especially with the 6 minutes that we have left. So this is real. There's a lot of really cool stuff that we can do over here. And for us as Salesforce admins, this should be super easy to understand because we're used to a lot of this as it relates to list views. So over here on the left-hand side, you see where it says add a view. And when you click on this, you can look at the data in a lot of different ways. So for now, for this one, I'm just going to give it a name. I'll call it everything. I'll just call it everything. So that's oh, I take it back. Screwed that one up. Hang on, let's delete that. Delete, remove. And I guess you have to create another one to rename the default view. All right, whatever, skip that. Let's say I only want to look at things that relate to career advice. So I'm gonna go over here and I'll call this career advice. And again, think of it like a list view. So I'm just going to go here and I'm going to hit create. And it's still showing me the exact same data that I saw before. I need to go over here and I need to add a filter to this list, or in Notion, I think it's called table view. So I'm going to click where it says add a filter, and I'm going to select where tag contains career advice. And now if I go over here, I have both the default view that shows everything as well as career advice. Now, when it comes to career advice, maybe in this situation, I don't really care to see some of the other fields over here. So I'm going to adjust this view to get rid of, let's say, the date that content was last update. Maybe I don't care about any of these. So I'm just going to leave these columns, and let's adjust the width of some of them. Made that too big over here. And now I can simply toggle between these views just like we can in Salesforce with list views. And by the way, you can also resort them by just doing that. Any questions on any of this? Okay, something else that you can do that I want to show you is, let's go back to the default view that shows everything. If I go here and I say, let's add a view, and I want to make it a board, content by tags. And because I have a lot of tags, this is going to go all over the place. But one of the catch-22 items with having the multi-select, if I put one piece of content in multiple items, it will show up in every column for that item. In a way, that's what you want, because if you want to look at everything for that item, that's exactly what you want. Now, over here, you can see I have access to the URL. I can simply click on it, and there we go. It's taking me directly to that URL where that content came from, the source of that content. If I go back to it, I could also just click on the tile itself. Let's go over here on the right. Come on. I can click on the tile itself to take me into that particular record. So having the filters and the different lists is, in Notion, probably way more important than it typically is in Salesforce, because this really controls the way you can have one centralized database that appears in many different places throughout your entire workspace in Notion, but filtered based on criteria that are relevant for the place in which the table is being displayed. Also controlling what columns are appearing. So like in Salesforce, we have this concept of there's list views and there's reports and there's dashboards. In Notion, it's just the list views. So this is critically important and insanely powerful functionality that we have here. Any questions on any of this? No? All right. That's it for me for today. Let's continue the conversation in the Slack workspace. I can absolutely show all of you how to work with connecting the knowledge base to other databases if you're interested. I can also just share it as a link from other YouTube videos created by others showing exactly how to do that. But thank you all for joining today, and have a great weekend.
Thank you,
Talk to you
David.
soon.
Yep. Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much.
My
Thank you.
pleasure. Bye-bye.